ownership rights are applying to Jews only, and settlers are claiming the homes here based on the fact that at 448 they belong to Jews. Of course, the same right, the right of return, would never be considered or granted to Palestinians, just to Jews. So let's see, this is the house, one of the houses. I was staying with this family for a long time before they were evicted, the Hanun family. We were sleeping in their house, we were doing shifts to prevent the eviction.
Ultra-religious settlers, with support from the Israeli government, have their eye on these areas of East Jerusalem largely because they are part of what is known as the Holy Basin, an area rich in Jewish holy sites. Sheikh Jarrah, for example, is the location of the tomb of Simon the Just. As these areas are almost entirely inhabited by Palestinians, right-wing Jews are actively working to settle, or essentially colonize them, to bring them into the Israeli state. This is being done both through the development of large-scale settlement blocks, as well as through house demolitions and evictions.
And it's basically an attempt, again, to Judaize East Jerusalem, to Judaize Sheikh Jarrah, to normalize the occupation and to normalize our control.
The Gawi family is one of those that has been evicted from their home, in which it had lived for several decades. In protest of their eviction, they now camp across the street.
They want, or their plan is, to kick out of all of the neighborhood here and to demolish after that the houses and to build 250 units for the settlers. They will not stop here. They want to go down to Wadi al-Juz, Mount of Olives, Ras Al Amud, Silwan. They want to make a wall of settlements. On 2nd October, they came, police with guards, they closed the area, they came enter by force, they broke the windows, doors, took everybody outside, threw the furniture outside.
Despite multiple attempts, the settlers, as well as their armed private security guards, refused to speak with us or answer any questions regarding the evictions and further plans for the neighborhood.
Even one of the Israeli the Zionist ideologist called Jabotinsky, when he proposed how to build Israel, he was speaking about an iron curtain long before the Soviet Union and the Cold War. During the 20s, he said we need to build an iron wall that will protect Israel, and he was speaking about iron wall in financial and military power that will crush everything that is thrown against it. And that is something that Israel was trying to build all this time. Israelis like to think about it like we are a castle protecting ourselves from the jungle. We are all together trying to hold back the others.
Israel prefers to call it the security fence, and Palestinians refer to it as the apartheid wall. It has been roundly condemned by the international community and ruled illegal by the International Court of Justice. What is being built, supposedly as a security barrier for the state of Israel, is in effect cutting off Palestinians from their land.
אנחנו מההתחלה היינו מגיעים משם מהבית שלי שהוא עכשיו בתוך הגדר גם כן עד בו 2 דקות. עכשיו שיהיה כל דבר טבעי בלי בעיות זה ייקח לי שעה.
The military began construction on the wall in June of 2002, which now winds almost 500 miles through the West Bank. Although the Green Line is where Israel's land rights are supposed to cease, 85% of the wall is actually built deep inside this line, effectively annexing Palestinian land.
ב-2003 התחילו בגדר, הגדר לקח בערך 95% מהאדמות של הכפר. מה שרשום בשם של מסחה זה בערך 6,000 דונם. 5,500 דונם בערך זה הלך בתוך הגדר. וכל מה שנשאר לכפר זה 500 דונם.
Often caught between the wall and the Green Line are so-called seam line villages like Ras Atia.
Basically, this is a seam line village, and the village happens to be west of the separation barrier. So it's not Palestine, which will be, and it's not Israel yet. What they're trying to do, we think, the way they deal with the people here is give them so much harassment that they will eventually leave. You know, it's transfer without being transferred.
This checkpoint is open between from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening. What happens afterwards, I don't know, because there's no hospital here in this village. It's just a village. And if there's an emergency, there's a problem. And we know that there are many cases with different checkpoints that were closed or opened at certain times. There was catastrophes that happened.
The people here, most of them speak Hebrew. Some of them we know have got permits to work in Israel, but although Israel's so close, they have to go all the way around to the terminal building at the other side of Kalkilia, which we will see late this afternoon, in order to get into Israel.
We're going. Yeah. We're okay.
The Urta terminal checkpoint controls the movement of Palestinian laborers with work permits from the West Bank into the Israeli state. Checkpoints such as these have been contracted out, and the privatized security services operating them severely limit the flow of people allowed to pass through, causing hours-long lines upon entry and exit.
I wake up today 3:30 morning, come my house to go for my work where I working, but today I not enough time to come for where I work.
They always have a reason of security. We are working. We are going to work every day. In the morning we come here. I come here at 5. I entrance at 6:30.
You wait an hour and a half?
Hour and a half. But today we was waiting here for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Sorry, if I want to add something. Now, because you are stay here, it's going easy. If you stand here, it's help us. Can you help us?
Wow.
I hope if you can in the morning.
Okay. No touching. No touching. No touching.
Okay. They're closing the gates.
It's good to see that.
In 2005, the Stop the Wall campaign began by going to areas that were being affected by the wall and coordinating popular committees made up of respected members of each village to organize local resistance and network across the West Bank. The objective was to spread mass and coordinated civil disobedience and organize it from the grassroots.
In our case in Palestine, this is the strongest and the best way to resist the occupation. Civil disobedience, demonstrations, throwing stones. Don't accept the rules of the occupation.
The campaign works in three main directions: to organize popular resistance to the occupation through weekly demonstrations, to document, map, and track the harm that the wall was causing, and to encourage and support an international movement against the Israeli occupation. In 2005, the first demonstrations began in the village of Bilayin. Soon after, demonstrations started in Budros, Masra, Nelayin, Beit Jala, and many other villages across the West Bank. The IDF has tried in vain to stop the movement from growing. Nonetheless, repression is harsh. 19 people have been killed since the demonstrations began, and hundreds more have been wounded.
Several times I saw people being killed from live ammunition. Much more times I saw live ammunition being used. And just to emphasize it, people got killed not only from live ammunition shot at them, but by so-called not lethal arms that actually kill. Just one example is the murder of Bassem in Bil'in.
They think that the people will be terrified. No, the people became more determined, more like and willing to challenge them. You think that we are going to stop? Okay.
Bil'in is a small village of 1,700 that lies 16 kilometers west of Ramallah. The village, made up of small family homes, is now dwarfed by the surrounding Israeli settlements. All of Bil'in, including its agricultural land, which was its traditional economic base, rested on less than 1,000 acres. The wall cut off about 570 acres from the village, about 60% of its land.
Confiscated this land and for security sometimes, or sometimes they said for a closed military area or something like this. And we see after this, after a few years, they start to build a new settlement on this land.
Every Friday since February of 2005, the people of Bil'in, along with Israeli and international supporters, have marched on the wall to demand its removal and the return of their land.
Our message to all the world: this is not security war, like Israel said. This is just for which people confiscated more land to build more settlement and to put the Palestinians in a big jail with the families.
Welcome to Bil'in, the small village that has become a symbol of a just and brave struggle for people, for their rights and for their future.
أحيي هذه البلدة بالعين لأنها نموذج حي للمقاومة، ونرسل رسالة للمحتل: لن تستطيعوا وقف نضال شعبنا، لن تستطيعوا وقف حركة التضامن مع شعبنا. نحن نحيي الإسرائيليين اليهود من أنصار السلام، هؤلاء المناضلين الذين يقولون بجرأة لا للاحتلال، لا للاستيطان، لا للجدار.
Every Friday we go to the wall. We are against this wall. We know this wall has divided our land, divided our relative. My father planted some of big tree olives in the land. All of them is cutting now by the bulldozer of the Israelian, and they planted it another time in the settlement. You know, this village is very small, and I tell you that every house in this village, some of them is wounded or put in a prison, because all of the village here are against the wall.
Basically, how they got us all to really disperse right now is they had like a sort of rapid fire cannon on top of one of their Humvees or Jeeps, and just fired it all off over there so that all the wind would bring it down right on us. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They fucked us up, basically.
Many Israelis also attend the weekly demonstrations across the West Bank in solidarity with the Palestinian villages, confronting the same military of which they are supposed to be a part.
It's basically our friends, people from our neighborhood, from our schools, and now they're shooting on us and tear gas and stuff. My dad's cousin used to be the commander of those guys, kind of in charge of all. He used to give the orders to shoot.
In Belém?
In all this area, all the village.
So I served there in October 2000, and it was when the second Intifada began, and I was always very afraid in the territories, for my own life, for what may happen, and it was very strange to come back to Belém, a few years later. And I come there as a welcomed guest because I believe in their struggle. I think it's right. This is Palestine. This fence has no business there. And also this Zionist settlement, it has no business there. So I come to Belém and I'm invited, and I come with the private car with my mother. I came also, and I have friends, and it's really a nice experience, except for, of course, the demonstration and the gas and the soldiers shooting you and all this. But the interaction, the meeting of Palestinians, it's really, I'm enjoying. I have friends, I love them, and there is no fear. But this is the same place that I went, for night raids and to arrest people and blindfold them and take them to interrogation. And maybe I took some of the people who are my friends now. I don't know. And nothing has changed except me. Nothing. And of course the fence that came there.
It's pretty common knowledge that the US military budget dwarfs that of any other nation. But when compared by the amount of money spent per resident, Israel actually spends about 3 times that of the United States. Not only that, but much of Israel's economy is rooted in the defense industry. Israel boasts it is the 3rd largest defense exporter in the world.
You'll hear a lot of Israelis question America's reasons for going into Iraq. A lot of Israelis are very cynical about it and think that it's all about the oil, or recognize the financial interests at play here, and that it's not really about American security, or that, I think they think very critically about America. And it's interesting because they don't seem to be able to draw those same parallels when it's closer to home.
In a sense, I think the Israeli society doesn't want to end the occupation because it profits from the occupation. When we ask who profits from the occupation, we mean economically.
And you can see when a general is being released, you're going to very quickly to a weapon industry or a security industry all around the world, inside Israel.
Those private security companies are now increasingly taking over the manning of checkpoints, and they're also taking over the manning or sort of securing of settlements.
The occupation is business in a way. A lot of people profit from it, not only politically but economically. And the same thing about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. There are always these people that make millions and billions of dollars from maintaining it, and they have a reason to maintain it.
The standard agreement when the US offers military aid is that the recipient state must buy the weapons from US companies. However, with Israel, there is a unique provision where the money can be used to procure arms directly from Israeli weapons manufacturers. Currently, the US government gives Israel an average of $3 billion annually in military aid.
Why USA support the Israelis? To support the Jewish, okay, support them in everywhere. I am not against, but to support others, to grasp our land, to occupy our land, sure, I do not agree.
If you're an American citizen and you pay taxes, you should know that your money goes for buying weapons and bombs and gas grenades and ammunition for the people who are committing those crimes you saw on TV.
I mean, yeah, we were using M16s. That wasn't made in some factory in Beersheba. That was given to us for free by the U.S. government. And we were dressed from head to toe by the American military.
That's my military profession is on the American-made multiple launch rocket system. In Lebanon, I also served on that platform. In my battalion, we had this like tests before you can be in this unit, English tests, because all this is an American weapon and all the computers and everything there is in English. Basically, you have an Israeli boy sitting wearing American-made uniform in an American-made weapons, shooting American-made ammunition at sometimes American chosen targets.
Like you can't say you're promoting peace in the Middle East and sell guns and planes. These are not peace instruments. These are war planes. It's meant to kill. The bombs in Gaza are directly related to the money you paid your taxes from.
At the end, the people will not just put the responsibility on Israel. The United States is responsible before Israel. You are adopting them, you are protecting them, you are responsible.
Because of the steadfast political and military support the U.S. has for the State of Israel, those working against the occupation within Israel-Palestine are calling for Americans to demand a change in U.S. policy.
We cannot win the public opinion in Israel, because Israel will keep on going the way it was going, at least, if not worse. The only one who can stop the Israeli occupation and the only one who can stop this war is the American public opinion. Without the American diplomatic help, Israel would be totally isolated. Without the bilateral American-Israeli trade, Israeli economy would collapse. The moment United States will decide it had enough of the Israeli occupation, it will end.
The State of Israel has, that's what I feel, have crossed all the lines in its treatment of human beings. And it should be, I don't want to be misunderstood when I say punished, but it should be made responsible for its actions. That's actually what I can do most, to assist others outside to boycott and divest from Israel.
If you didn't isolate them, they won't realize that they are doing something wrong. So we need today to tell them from today, we are not going to consume your products until you stop this immediately.
If you think something is wrong, then don't do it. And if you think that the occupation and murder of people, innocent people, is wrong, then stop giving money to whoever is doing it.
We need to raise the voice. It's not only you, it's all of us around the world that this cannot be done. It's not in our name, it's not for our benefits. And to make pressure on Israel and to tell Israel, you're building up settlements, you don't get money, you don't get arms. You're not going into honest negotiation, we stop supporting you. There's no other way to do it.
You know, we're standing here and sort of talking about our, our experiences and about how in our awakening process. That doesn't mean we're the hero in the story. We're just a mediator of information of how we were victimizers towards another population. The story isn't about me searching their house. The story is about their house being searched.
We are using the fact that we refused and people care about it to say this, but we don't want to be the focus. We don't want to tell our story. We want to tell the story of the occupation.
We saw this as a very important opportunity to show the world the reality. This is not the democratic country that you think the only democracy in the Middle East. No. See what's going on the ground, what's happening to the people. Not just inside in the West Bank and Gaza, but also inside Israel.
I believe that there's many people in Israel, they want the peace, but they didn't have the way to change or the way to effect on their government.
I can't accept these things being done in my name. And the thing is, it's not being done in the name of Israelis, it's being done in the name of Jews. Zionism and Judaism is totally not the same thing, and they are not to be confused.
These are our heritage, these are our reminders. We will never forget it. We will never yield. We will struggle. Struggle in all means that the United Nations resolution or documents, Geneva Convention, the international law gives us to restore our freedom, to restore our land. And we can live together, not under occupation.
Just to be here, just to live here, to continue our life here, in spite of all the obstacles or the bad condition here, is a resistance against this occupation.
With no justice, there is no peace. And in the Middle East, people try to reach peace before they reach justice. And we're fighting for justice now. And hopefully one day there will be peace.
Not in any expense we are going to continue our life like this. I want freedom. I born under this occupation. I am now 47 years old and still under the occupation. I don't want my son to continue living in occupation. You can oppress them for 10 years, for a century. But at the end, the history told us occupation should be finished. Racism should be finished. And it will finish. But here you need to see how you can finish it. Occupation has no future. So this is strengthening the people, the hope. People here all the time have hope.